Hello and welcome to this video about creating a packaging for your board game. And obviously it's important to make your product attractive when people are considering purchasing it, and especially if you want to sell it offline, it should be clear what's going on from just seeing a part of the board game, so people get convinced by it. I also have to take a look at what information is needed. For example, in some instances you have to add your own address, the name of a publisher. I've used some trademarks of other people. I have to clarify that, for example, you use an open source license, or that you use certain aspects, or even that you're unaffiliated with them. So all of these needs to be on the box. You also need to have a barcodes, and these can be purchases on the website gs1.org, and that's actually an organization that allows you to purchase these barcodes. You generate one and then you can just paste it on your box as well. So that's also needed. Even if you sell on Amazon, you need one of these codes. And then if you sell in certain countries such as European countries, you also need to have a certain certifications, such as the CE certification, to make sure that everything is compliant with the local regulations. And you can discuss with your supplier what type of packaging they have in terms of thickness, in terms of what materials they offer, and so on. It's also important to consider humidity, because in some instances you can get mold in your board games if you store them for too long, and there are some small packets that can be added in the board game to avoid humidity inside the box itself. And these packets are quite cheap. It's about 10 cents or even less for each one, and especially if the board game is a little bigger, this can be useful to avoid mold inside the box, which is obviously something you'll get a lot of complaints about. And most manufacturers have standard boxes, so they will provide you the dimensions, and then you can adjust your design based on that. Just send them an AI file, and maybe your manufacturer can help you out with that as well. And it's also important to consider that the size of a box has a big impact on how much it costs to ship an item. So take this into consideration as well, and try to make the box small as possible. And then you can also consider unique shapes, but this can also make it harder to transport once again. So that's just a quick introduction to what you should consider when creating a packaging for your board game. In some instances, you can also add a plastic piece so people can organize all the game elements, but obviously this is going to increase the price once again, especially if you're going for smaller quantities. So, and there are a lot of off-the-shelf items that you can purchase, for example, dice or timing devices with sand and so on. So there are a lot of off-the-shelf board game components that make it easier to get them at a lower price. So that's affordable even if you have a smaller board game. So most manufacturers can offer these as well, making it easier to get started. And in most instances, the board game is also wrapped in plastic to avoid moisture or other items damaging the board game itself. You should also try to avoid dents and creases inside the box, because people will get annoyed by that as well. So don't use material that's cheap, because it won't withstand the shipping. And so these are the main points. Thank you for listening, and I wish you a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.